I want to ask a question on representation of people. And now that the devolution has brought development at the regions, all at the grassroots, and when we come to the representation of people, you find that the constitution draft is allowing us to recall the members of parliament. But I want to ask whether it is allowing me to recall those that are at the devolved government.
Thank you for your comment. At the back there.
Jina langu ni Ali Mohamed tena, na swali langu ni kuhusu youth na mihadarati. Youth wameingia katika mihadarati zaidi. Lakini ukiangalia ni kwamba wewe ukienda umesoma katika chuo cha ufundi ama mahali pengine popote pale, lakini ukienda kutafuta kazi unaambiwa ukuje na experience ya 2 years at least ama miaka 5. Sasa na umesomea katika ufundi, experience unataka nyingine wapi?
All right, thank you. Paul, I'm going to come to you on the question of the recall clause on members of parliament. At the county level, is there a recall clause, as the gentleman is asking, at the county level in case members of the public are unhappy with the performance of their county governors?
This clause seems to be purely restricted to the issue of the National Assembly. But the problem, I think, came from that this clause was put on the problems that people were having in respect of members of parliament who are elected and go to office and do not deliver to the people what they had promised. Possibly in future, because there are avenues of amendment, depending on the experience that people are going to have on the various levels of governments that have been created, that there could be amendments in the future that will make provisions should these specific problems ever arise. Perhaps
the question he was referring to is, how will county governors and at the county level be held accountable, the leadership at the county level?
The leadership of the county level will have to be held accountable on the election that is held periodically. But we know that we have the county executive that itself held accountable by the county assembly. The counties themselves are held accountable by the senates, so that they cannot do what they want. There are also national laws that will give guidelines on how these county governments can function. And ultimately, the president also has power to deal with errant county governments that do not follow the constitution.
The local residents here are concerned about the issue of insecurity.
The Bill of Rights, Chapter 4 of the Bill of Rights, guarantees the security of the person. So this security of person ensures that the government or the state, because security is under the national government, it has to ensure that there is security of property of people and security of the persons. Then the chapter on national security, it clearly states that there should be security for all Kenyans within the borders of Kenya. And further, these security forces have to act in that they obey the fundamental rights and freedoms as enshrined under Chapter 4. So security is guaranteed under the proposed constitution, under the Bill of Rights, and under the chapter dealing with national security.
All right, I'll take a comment from the gentleman. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. My name is DK Mwangi. Mine is on land. Very few people in Kenya, in central Kenya, own more than 1 acre of land. Some are even landless. I would like to comment on very many people who owns very big pieces of land. How is the government doing about these people? Some are squatters, others are IDPs. How is the government doing about these people who are landless?
All right, thank you for your comment. Yes, go ahead, please.
My name is Aparu Keboy Kariuki. My question is on water. Water in Central Province is a problem because the water tariffs are exorbitantly very high. In my place like Tetu, we are paying as much as 500 per every 6 cubic meters. So how is the government doing to regulate those water tariffs? And in fact, it can be done in Parliament because it's a water policy.
All right, thank you very much. The gentleman there.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm Joseph Matara. I want to ask a question on street children, because it is a big issue in our country. You can see children on the streets, and they are passing. They are a group, and the assistant chief passes. It does not bother. A police officer passes. He doesn't bother. A leader like me passes. I don't take any action. Now, I am sure we are contributing towards the destruction of our country. Because these youth, when they grow up with their group, they are coming to be thieves. They are going to join Mugeki. They are going to join the other.
Lift your mic, please, so we can hear you.
They are going, when they grow up, they are going to join all these organizations like Mugeki, like what have you. And I think the blame should go to our government and to us as leaders. What is the new constitution providing for these street children to be taken care of? Thank you.
Dr. Nyakabi.
Before I go to the street children, let me just talk about a question asked earlier about youth who have no experience. I think it's an important question, but I think that comes out because we have such few job opportunities. I think the provision we have now with devolution is that so much money, as of now, about 3 billion shillings will be going to the counties. That should eventually trigger economic activity in the counties, which should eventually create employment. And if there is more employment, then actually employers will be looking for youth to employ. For now, the restrictions are there because the jobs are so few. With the issue of street families, I agree there. The draft again does address the issue of street families. If you look at Article 43, all of it actually talks about everyone is entitled to adequate housing. And I think one that is important for me here is Article 53, that actually says that a child must be taken care of by both mother and father, whether the two are married or not. But Article 43 actually does take care of children, because these children have come from families. There is somebody who has abdicated their responsibility. So the draft actually, and there will be laws that will make sure that this is followed. This is now constitutional. So in the long term, they should.
All right.
This should be reduced, yes.
Paul, I'm going to come to you on the question of inequalities in terms of land and how in Central Province, for instance, the gentleman says not many people own more than 1 acre of land, and many of them are landless, yet there are vast land, acres of land available. What is the government going to, how does the proposed constitution address that issue?
One of the things that has been provided is that Parliament will now have power to decide on regulating minimum and maximum holdings of land, so that in situations where we have so much landlessness, we will have to decide whether a person can own 100,000 acres of land while other people do not have any land. And we do now also have rights of access to land, that every Kenyan now has a right to access to land. Now, taking all that into consideration, all those rights, Parliament will have to come up together with the National Lands Commission. We'll have to come up with a national land policy where we decide how we are going to be dealing with access to land, how people will have to access that land, whether this land has to be compulsorily acquired and people with the large tracts of land paid off, and that land used to settle people. So there is power for that land policy to be formulated, and it will now provide the method that we shall use so that people can access land and be settled.
All right, we're going to continue with this discussion in just a moment, but for now, I want to hand you over to our City Center studios where Njoroge Mwaura is standing by with the news headlines. But we are live here at the Green Hills Hotel in Nyeri, where tonight the people of Central Kenya are giving their views, their opinions, and their concerns about the proposed draft constitution. We'll be right back.